In today's video, we are diving into the wonderful world of Lisa Eldridge. I have been trying out a ton of her makeup, and honestly, some of these products I've tried since their launch, but I wanted to do a brand overview of Lisa Eldridge and review in one video all of the products that I've tried. And if there's a specific brand that you want a brand overview on, definitely leave me a comment down below. And if you enjoy all of the demos, the swatches, all that good stuff, definitely make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It helps other people find my content. First up, we have the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. This is a product that I get comments about on my channel all of the time. You guys have wanted me to try this. I finally have been testing it and I have come to my thoughts. So I picked up the shade T2. It comes in this beautiful package, very reminiscent actually of the foundation, which we will also talk about, but it is plastic, a little squeezy tube. You shake it up, pour it out, and this is quite a fluid foundation. So I love that she decided to go with this style packaging. It is definitely the easiest to work with. By the way, the shade T2 is slightly too light for me. I think like I'm a half a shade darker, but I do really like the undertone. It has this really nice yellow undertone that isn't super mustardy. Something that I've noticed throughout trying out Lisa's products is that these shades are very often very dialed in, and complexion wise, I think that this is a good shade for me. Now within the concealer, I will leave the shade that I picked up down below because we'll get to this in a second, but all of the writing has basically worn off of this product. It makes it very difficult to go back and repurchase or even know what this is. But this is actually like a pretty precise shade match to me. So I'll leave swatches up and the exact shade down below. So like I mentioned, this is an incredibly thin skin tint product. When we talk about skin tints, very thin fluid products that you can kind of just apply with fingers, a la kind of MAC Face and Body OG products like that, this definitely has that sort of texture to it. What's interesting about the experience of the product is that it is very thin and fluid, but when you kind of put it onto the skin with fingers especially, you can kind of notice the texture. It is not a dewy, greasy product in the actual way it feels. It definitely has more of a satin feel. It wants to set on by itself. So though you might see in the demo it looks quite dewy going on the skin, it definitely sets down to more of a satin kind of skin-like finish. In fact, if my skin is feeling particularly dry, it can lean even a touch matte. It is reminiscent of products like the Fenty Ease Drop, for example. It kind of looks dewy going on the skin, but then immediately it starts to settle down and it goes to more of that kind of satin finish. One thing that I've noticed in particular is that when I have applied this lightly, it really, really looks like skin. It's not going to add moisture to dry skin, which I have dry skin. So if my skin is feeling dry, you are going to notice that when I apply this kind of product. Whereas with the product that I'm wearing today, where is it? It's the It Cosmetics CC Cream. Leave a link down below to it. It's kind of a cult classic. I think a lot of us already know this product. But my skin is feeling dry. You would never be able to tell because that product re-adds moisture, whereas this is not necessarily, in my opinion, designed to do that, though they mentioned that there are a lot of skincare focused ingredients in here. I believe one of the main ingredients is coconut alkynes, and that in general is more of an emollient ingredient. But my personal experience with this product is that this is not the epitome of perfect foundation for dry skin. I, however, think there's a giant gap in the market for skin tints that are more long wearing, that are going to get along with people that don't just have dry skin. So though I kind of selfishly wish that this was a little bit more emollient, had a little bit more blur or creaminess to kind of smooth over the look of texture, I think that this is going to be kind of a jackpot product for those of you with maybe more combination skin. So if you have combination skin or even oily skin, please leave me a comment down below with your experience of this product. For me in particular, when I have like little dry patches, also I have in general dry skin like right around the crevice of my nose. That's like a problem area specifically for me on my chin and then this little crevice. This does not look particularly great in either of those areas, and I start to notice that cling, whereas everywhere else it kind of just looks like I'm not really wearing anything. Again, I see the pros and cons to this product, and that sort of look is about a light coverage in my experience. I personally think that you can definitely cover any blemishes, dark spots, etc. It's not going to be a full coverage, but I really like how long wearing this is. Every time I wear it, it lasts really well, but you know, at the sacrifice a little bit of these like little areas on my skin where I just notice that collection, I notice the dryness. And I know I will get comments and questions about, you know, if I've tried this with different amounts of skin prep. I actually have tried various skin prep techniques while trying this out. I am finding that this wears the best when you do a very, very simple skincare routine. And it doesn't play well with a lot of emollient ingredients within a skincare routine, which is my preferred skincare routine because I have more dry skin. And it also will make the product transfer more readily. It's not going to last as long. So in general, though this isn't necessarily built for me, in my opinion, I have an appreciation for it as someone that reviews a lot of makeup, loves a lot of makeup. I think that the market as a whole has been needing a product like this. I find that this is more skin-like than a product like the Fenty Eavesdrop or the Huda Beauty. Those kind of fluid products that are skin tints that are trying to direct their formulations more towards someone with oily skin. I see this as being a really great middle ground where there aren't a lot of products readily available, especially with beautiful kind of nuanced shades. So let's go ahead and talk about another product that is a newer launch. I actually did an entire video about this product talking about different alternatives because of the hefty price point. This is the Pinpoint Concealer from Lisa Eldridge. I actually was using this all weekend because I randomly had like a bout of breakouts. I have a feeling it's because of like a peptide serum I was using, and that was a huge bummer. But anyway, we're clearing up now. But I was using this quite a lot because I didn't want to put on a lot of makeup, but I did want to have coverage that lasted on certain pinpointed, you know, acne spots. I believe this is around like $35, $36. I'm not gonna get into the whole price point thing again because I've already talked about that, but this is very, very, very expensive. Granted, it's not meant to be used all over the face, and it is kind of like a concentrated pigment product. I still think that it is a little bit too expensive for what it is. That being said, this is a very, very good shade match for me. And I love how long wearing the actual product is. So it looks kind of just like a pencil eyeliner kind of thing, but it screws up. It has more of a precise precision applicator at the top. And if you like to just scribble onto little areas of shadow, dark spots, acne pigmentation without adding a ton of coverage, you know, this kind of pinpoint technique that Lisa is known for, this is a very perfect product for that. That is what makes this unique. And again, I do appreciate that about this. Unfortunately, the reason I probably won't be repurchasing is it's not geared towards dry skin. Again, this to me is almost like a long wear eyeliner, except in kind of skin tone colors. It's going to stick onto a pimple and last, but if you have dry pimples the way that I do, not the best. If you have very oily pimples and everything kind of slip slides around on them, I have a feeling that this kind of tool could be useful to you, albeit expensive. You know, you could just go with some other more oily skin friendly products and just pinpoint conceal with a brush. But if you are into the convenience factor and you want a formula that's going to last, I actually do really like this for that. For my pimples, the way that my pimples work and my skin, for drier hormonal adult acne, this is not going to be one that I would recommend. So again, I have an appreciation for it. I think that it's expensive for what it is. And in general, I don't think it's necessarily my perfect acne coverage concealer. Dry pimples are a tough one because you want the coverage to last, but you really don't want the concealer to attract attention. Okay, despite a couple of technical difficulties, we are back and continuing on to eyeshadow. Now I have 3 different eyeshadow formulas to talk about. We have 2 liquids and then we also have her powder palettes. I think I first want to go ahead and talk about the liquid silk eyeshadows. Reason being is I think that these might be one of the most underrated Lisa Eldridge items, period. If you could see inside of my beauty closet, you will find a ton of matte liquid shadows. In fact, there are also a ton of sparkly liquid shadows as well, which is why we'll talk about the liquid Lurex in a second in the context of those. If we are talking about some of the best liquid eyeshadows on the market, you're gonna find them within the Lisa Eldridge line. They claim to be lid smoothing, nuanced, soft focus. All these things are true. If you're looking for long wear liquid shadows that in and of themselves are incredibly flattering on the eyes, they're going to set down and lock in, but within the process, they're going to be really smoothing, easy to blend and to build up. So they're not like really difficult liquid shadows that the minute that you put them on, you need to blend them out. They give you a ton of wiggle room. In fact, you know, if I just swipe these on willy-nilly, I know that they're going to last all day, that they're going to blend out beautifully, and they're one of those kind of foolproof makeup products. If someone came to me and asked about these liquid shadows as eyeshadow bases, as one and dones, as in general a product that is just going to make the lids look more flattered, more smooth, I would absolutely recommend these over and over and over. I have 3 shades. I have the shade Phoebe, Irene, and Gaia. I really could not be more happy with them. I think my favorite out of the 3 is Phoebe, just because I tend to really enjoy a slightly mustardy beige. Like that is a very useful shade to me in my undertone. But the kind of elephant in the room as far as these kind of liquid shadows go is that there's $36 a piece. I don't remember them being that expensive. And the liquid Lurexes are $30. So I'm not sure if these were always 36 or if they went up because of tariffs or what is going on with that. Do I think that the formula is kind of perfection? Yes. So if you're willing to invest in a very line smoothing, gorgeous, kind of one and done, or even a base that it's going to make basically any other thing that you put on top look better, I see this as investment worthy. And especially, you know, as we've talked about with some of Lisa's other formulas, I think they tend to not necessarily be geared towards dry skin, at least as far as complexion goes. But when it comes to eye products, they are very loving to dry skin, to mature eyelids, to wrinkles, texture, all of that good stuff. So I personally really love these, though I understand they're expensive. For me, I will continue to wear them and recommend them. And the same thing goes for the liquid Lurex from Lisa Eldridge. So I actually have 4 here. I have Angelica, Bianca. These are 2 of the original shades. And then I have, oh wait, no, I have 5. I picked up 3 of the newer shades, Anis, Zura, and Emily. Every single one of these eyeshadows is beautiful. That is unheard of to me. There are a lot of brands coming out with liquid or stick eyeshadows all of the time. The cream realm, whether it's liquid or cream, Sparkle is sparkle is sparkle until it's not. These sparkles are truly that wet reflection that is so gorgeously flattering, easy to work with, buildable, blendable. They do not kind of collect and slosh off. They're not chalky. They build to a true wet glossy effect rather than a kind of flat metallic, which, you know, it's interesting. As much as people love metallics, something that I think is often lost is the nuance of a metallic almost looking flat because of the actual pigments and the contrast. Lisa was able to create a variety of shades that all have that wet reflection, that are not going to look really chalky on the eyes, that actually want to reflect light. For me personally, these are perfect one and done eyeshadows. They work beautifully with the liquid silks. So today I actually used the shade Irene in the crease, and then I went on top with Anise. It's really beautiful kind of purey green shade, and I thought it would go really well with the lip. We'll talk about the lip in a second because oh my gosh. And you can really wash it out to be like this kind of twinkling effect, but you can also just build it up, apply them straight from the applicator. That's the best way to apply the liquid Lurexes in my opinion. And you just get incredible maximum pigment, such a gorgeous wet glossy effect. You can't go wrong with any shade in my opinion. And again, within lines like this, I've tried so many sparkly liquid shadows, you guys. I like consistently hate most of them, like 9 times out of 10. The fact that I can't even find a flaw or a shade that I don't like within the entire line of liquid shadows, matte and sparkle, these are incredible. They really are one of the standout products within all of Lisa Eldridge's products. You can see within the swatches how some of them lean more satin and some have a little bit more of the wet pigment. So like Zora is packed with that wet glossiness. So gorgeous. Anise is a touch more satin. And then Emily is actually, oh my gosh, I have sparkle all over myself. Emily has a little bit more of the wet glitters to them. And then Angelica and Bianca are packed with them. So all of them, I mean, you really can't go wrong. You really, really cannot go wrong. Like, look at Zora. You see those wet glitters? This is completely dry and yet it looks wet to the touch. Insane. Truly, truly insane. When we talk about luxury, we want something different. We want something dependable. I think Lisa does a really good job at trying to push the innovation boundaries. Sometimes I think it works, sometimes it doesn't. Honestly, I give credit a lot of the time for brands trying to do something different, even if the execution isn't perfect. But in my opinion, she's really at the top of her game as far as creating very consistent, dependable makeup and something innovative when it comes to her liquid shadows. Absolutely fantastic. Now, and I wanted to mention them even before the palettes because I think the palettes are where people gravitate towards because she's kind of become known for these. Was this her first launch? No, it was the lipsticks. People love a Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palette, and we're gonna talk about the two that I have. So I think one of the first products I picked up from Lisa Eldridge was the Vega palette. And I also decided to pick up for this video in specific one of the newer releases, which is the Desert Gleam palette. Out of the two, I have to say, I think I love the Desert Gleam even more than the Vega palette. And in specific, it's because I am able to use 3 of what I think are one of the most beautiful kind of velvety satin formulas that is on the market, like period. So they're actually called, so there's Velvet and there's Seamless Matte. The only real difference between those two formulas, in my opinion, is that the Velvets have maybe a little bit more of like a light reflection quality to them, more so in like the creamy kind of finish. This is where she shines, is those formulas in my opinion, because these shadows are like, you know, the Merit Solo shadows? If you were to make those powder, that is the formulas, in my opinion, that Lisa Eldridge creates with these. So I'm leaving up swatches of both palettes on their own. But by the way, if you're looking at this palette and you're like, something seems off. Yeah, I dropped it on the floor and then all of the shadows came out and then I very quickly put them back in. And now I don't have a safety pin, so I can't get them back out. So yes, they're not in like the most correct order, but either way, you guys can hopefully see just from the finger swatches of these how creamy and almost blurring they are. Think of these as like an eye base, a smoothing eye base, something that's going to blend and make every single one of your eye looks just ultra creamy looking. What I love about the palette is that I have a perfect crease shade. If I want to deepen up the crease, I have another shade and then something to add a little bit more definition. For me, it all makes sense. The shimmers are bonkers. I don't like this one. These kinds of shimmers are not very flattering on me, so this kind of like cool toned green, gold, silver, they just tend to not, I think, don't look good with my coloring, so I'm not going to really reach for that, but the two other shimmers are gorgeous, and I think that they layer really, really well together. So again, fantastic. Go so beautifully with the other shades. So like, as a color story, I love it. I think it can be taken to a really dramatic level, but it also can be very, very everyday. So I find it very versatile. And I have to say, out of every single palette, every single shade, this green it's a triumph. It is a triumph. When you sheer it out, when you swatch it, it's perfection. And what I love about it is it somehow, when you put it onto the skin, even though clearly that's not my skin tone, somehow it looks like skin. It just has the texture of beautiful, smooth skin. As we were talking about before, it's so underrated to have eyeshadow formulas that look beautiful on the thin skin around the eyes. So many brands don't do this well, truly. And it's one of the reasons why I was such a hardcore fan of cream eyeshadows and liquid eyeshadows before I would even touch powders. I know that's crazy. Like, usually it's backwards. Like, people start with powders and then move to creams. I was all in on creams because I just couldn't find powders that looked really lovely on the eyes, like not dry and powdery. So whether it's a velvet, whether it's a seamless matte, they are going to be really lovely on the eyes. Now, I think that this is probably more worth your buck, the Desert Gleam, than the Vega, only because the Vega it's a little too redundant. The black and the charcoal are just similar enough. Then you have the gray and the brown, which are different, but are they different enough to warrant the price point? And then the shimmers, again, shimmers are gorgeous, but layering them doesn't necessarily give you a whole different look. Like, they're both pearlized enough that it's not going to necessarily add anything different, like texturally. Like, from a color standpoint, yeah, when you add this shade, you're going to get a little bit more pink. But again, for the price point, I really want each shade to be doing something really unique and to work well together. I've had it for a while and I've noticed consistently I'm reaching for other palettes, whereas with the Desert Gleam, I could really throw my brush in willy-nilly and get an incredible look, which I consistently prioritize and I also really appreciate. Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows, I think that the velvets and the seamless mattes are absolutely incredible. I actually really enjoy the luminous shades a little bit more than the metallics, just because, again, they're a little bit more reflective, a little bit more wet looking, but overall, I think if you have a color story you like, you're going to be happy with the quality because the quality is there. Just make sure that whatever color story you're looking for, that you're getting a little bit more nuance to give you the best bang for your buck. Next up, let's talk about the True Velvet lip color. So this is the Velvet Muse. This is a lipstick, again, I've had since around the launch, at least the year of the launch. This is one of her most iconic products. I have to be honest here, and I think it's important, like, to know your realm as a reviewer so that you guys can understand. I am not a matte lipstick lover. Like, a matte lipstick with the absolute most perfect edges, with absolutely zero light reflection, like liquid lipstick. That I don't like that on me. I don't reach for that a lot. I like the look, I should say, but it's just not something that I reach for a ton within my makeup routine. This isn't necessarily a really plasticky matte. It's not like a liquid lipstick matte. It's not an overly powdered matte. I think that it just has a beautiful balance to it. It's very creamy. The pigmentation itself goes on evenly, and it doesn't feel like a lot of product, which I think a lot of us really appreciate out of a matte lipstick, for it not to feel very heavy and thick. But granted, as someone with chronically dry lips, it's not going to give me the moisture that I would want for every day, but using a nice layer of this, kind of blotting it off, is going to last really well and look really pretty. And it's not a lipstick either that I think has too much like silicone to it, so it's not going to wear really awkwardly. I think the shades are really lovely too. Like this shade Velvet Muse, I have really loved over the years, but again, I don't think that this formula is necessarily built for me. I am much more of a hydrating lip color Chanel kind of person, something that has a little bit more shine, something that has a little bit more of a satin finish is like really tends to be what I gravitate towards, even for like special occasions. So I wanted to, because it's such an iconic product, I wanted to try it out. I think that it's nice, but it's just not like my standout, my favorite. There are a lot of folks that absolutely love that product and have like every single shade. They could give you a bunch of swatches, so I might not be the best reviewer necessarily for that one. Let's talk about this new lipstick. These are the new refillable lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. I picked mine up in the shade Audrey. I am wearing it right now. You can see the way it fades, by the way. I'm just going to reapply it now. In my opinion, this formula just has a really, really pretty fade to it, even though this is a salmon. This is a salmon pink. These shades tend to not wear really well, but this, oh my God. This shade is based on the lipstick, the Audrey Hepburn lipstick that Lisa Eldridge won at auction. This is the exact color that she created. So, you know, I had to get it. That was like, okay, we are absolutely getting that. Might be the most money I've spent on a lipstick. It's definitely up there. This is gorgeous luxury. And this is different because it is a completely aluminum refillable lipstick. Gorgeously weighty. And this is what I'm talking about. I feel like there are so many brands out there that are just coming out with safe products constantly. Lisa Eldridge is not doing that. And I truly think that it's important to take note of the brands that are trying to do something different, especially when I feel like it's very safe just to come out with dupe products all the time. I really, really appreciate that she wanted to do something different with this. I do have to be honest though, I think that the package itself though, yeah, I think one of the most beautiful lipsticks I've ever seen in my life. It's not perfect as far as the closure. You have to kind of finesse it to make sure that the cap doesn't come off really easily. Now, granted, it's weighted, so it's probably not going to necessarily come off every time. You kind of have to like press it down and kind of give it a screw on. And sometimes it still like comes off really, really easily. For the amount of money I'm paying, I wish that that was not the case. And the True Velvet lipstick, you know, this is magnetized, so it's always going to be on really securely. And I just wish that that was the case with this one. Sometimes I close it and I'm like, oh, that's definitely secure. And the next time I put the cap on, I'm like, huh, why is it coming off so easily now? And I actually posted about this on my Instagram story, and a lot of you have had this experience. Now, I reached out to Lisa Eldridge's team and they said that this is normal. So I'm just operating under the assumption that it is normal. There are these kind of like little divots right here that are meant to catch, but they just don't catch the way that I want them to. So though the packaging is not perfect as far as the closure, aesthetically, I think it's absolutely perfect. This lipstick in this color, it is like a beautiful, beautiful satin lipstick. It is not overly glossy. It's not overly slippy, but it's still relatively lightweight. If you are a fan of these classic satin lipsticks, so Chanel Hydrating Lipstick, the Merit Signature Lips in their like OG formula, if you love a satin lipstick that is just really wearable, easy to reapply, you want it to have a good moisture factor to it without it looking really moisturizing on the lip. The finish is stunning. I am even tempted to pick up other shades, though I have to say this shade feels really special. I mean, who doesn't want to wear the same shade that Audrey Hepburn wore? And they're also donating 25% of the proceeds from this lipstick to Audrey Hepburn's favorite charity for children, which again shows a level of understanding of the inspiration and the history behind the lipstick. You know, you can sense the care when it comes to the products from Lisa Eldridge. As a makeup lover, it's kind of hard to ignore the true appreciation and love that you clearly see. So yeah, you guys will absolutely be seeing me wear this until summer is over. It's like such a perfect summer shade, but I think even with kind of like a toasty lip liner and then putting this in the middle, it could also be absolutely stunning in the fall. So yeah, I am head over heels for this lipstick. I was really on the fence about picking it up because it was so expensive, but I'm really, really glad that I did. Actually quite a similar formula to the Chantecaille lip veils. I did just try these out for the first time the other week, and very similar formula. I think the Chantecaille has a little bit more shine than the Lisa Eldridge does, but God, I love the precise amount of reflection that the lipstick has. And also it's not like insane immediate pigment either. Like again, there's that ability to build it up that I just really appreciate in an everyday quick lipstick. Also similar to the OG NARS sheer lipstick formula, the Lisa Eldridge's, maybe just a touch more pigment. Speaking of products that I was like, oh, do we really want to buy this? The answer was yes, I did want to pick it up because I wanted to give you guys a real range of product as far as like the line goes. So this is luxury as far as mascara goes. Are you getting that in the packaging? Absolutely. It also clicks closed. So again, we know that she has an appreciation for these things, which makes the lipstick, the fact that it doesn't completely close tight, makes it hurt a little bit more. Either way, this mascara, really not a lot of mascaras like this. Gorgeous, gorgeous mascara formula. So I picked up the brown. I am wearing the brown on. Really not a lot of mascaras like this. Gorgeous, gorgeous mascara formula. So I picked up the brown. I am wearing the brown on my eyes today. Love a brown mascara. I think a lot of us are really enjoying brown mascara right now. I think it looks really, really nice if you have more warm toned eyes. Really can just make them pop. It's also good if you have lighter hair. You know, I don't necessarily have lighter hair, but if I just want a softer lash look, brown can look really nice on me. And I find that this brown is really nice. It's definitely more warm toned. It doesn't just feel like a brown to say there's a brown. There's some browns that just look black. This holds a curl beautifully. The wand is rubberized bristles, so it has this really nice banana shape to it. Pushes the lashes up and gets every single lash. I personally find that wands like this get along really well with me because they tend to be more defining, but I think the formula of the mascara in combination with the flexibility of the bristles is what makes for an actual defined lash. There are a lot of brands that will come out with a wand like this, but though it's rubberized and it's like, oh, it's gonna get every single lash, they don't put enough of the actual bristles on here. This is concentrated with bristles, almost so that like it looks fuzzy. That's because there are so many very soft plastic rubberized bristles in here. That makes this ultra defining. So if you like a defining mascara, you like a curling mascara, but you still want a good fluff, a nice balance, I think you'll love this. Good definition, but it still has that kind of fluffy volumized effect. The only thing I don't like about it is I do find that I don't usually put mascara on my bottom lashes, and I find that occasionally my lashes kind of stick to the bottom. I don't know why it does that. It's something that I noticed. It's not every day though, or every time I try this, so I'm not sure what's happening there. And by the way, it's like a while after I've applied the mascara, so it's not like a drying kind of thing. Either way, though this is expensive, I really do like it. There are other mascaras that I like more, like my Tower 28 Make Waves is cheaper and I do like the overall look more. But I will say that the Kitten Lash probably lasts a little bit longer without smudging. So you're just gonna have to weigh your options as far as mascara goes. I feel like mascara is like everyone is so different. But for me personally, I really liked it. And I honestly feel like mascara is kind of a throwaway product for a lot of brands. They're like, oh, we gotta come out with a mascara. And sometimes I put it on, I'm like, this could not possibly look good on anyone. And this mascara has consistently looked really fluttery and nice. I gotta say though, the $36, it's hard to spend $36 on a mascara for me. $36 on an eyeshadow, I'm like, okay, yeah. Mascara, you know, there are some a little bit more affordable that I think are just as good, if not better. So that's kind of where I land. That's more of my opinion on mascara as a whole. Keep in mind here, like this is the same brand that comes out with literal jewelry and jewels at like multiple $1,000s. So I mean, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Now, let's go ahead and talk about a product that I don't even have in front of me because I decluttered it. The Seamless Skin Foundation from Lisa Eldridge. I've had this in my collection for years. When I finally moved, I decided to go ahead and declutter it to see if one of my friends wanted it. It just, in general, is more of an awkward finish foundation. I just was never able to get this kind of, again, creamy, light to medium coverage that I really enjoy. I think that the Seamless Skin is way more geared towards, again, more like normal to combination skin, someone that doesn't deal with a lot of texture or dryness, because the Seamless Skin Foundation I find kind of clings to dryness pretty easily, even more so than the Skin Tint. You know, for me, having tried the Skin Tint, I feel like this is the more unique, interesting, innovative out of the two complexion products. Like, I'll still use this. I'm not going to reach for it all the time, but the Seamless Foundation was definitely a product that sat. It always felt like it just wasn't giving me enough blur. It would kind of settle into peach fuzz a little bit. If I did do like a really, really hydrated base, I did find that it would look a little bit more skin loving, but it just in general is a finicky foundation, and that is why I ended up decluttering it. For me, it was never a product that was going to be one that I would reach for even every month. Love the packaging. I mean, I feel like I almost kept it for a while for the packaging. It's not really a repurchase, not one that I think is... I even think that there are other like products in my collection that if you have combination skin or oily skin, I would probably recommend before that one. I mean, right away, I would just recommend trying out this if you do want to try out a complexion product from Lisa Eldridge, even if it wasn't my perfect fit. Last but certainly not least, we have the Embrace Gloss. So I picked up mine in the shade Muse. $26. Is this the cheapest Lisa Eldridge product? And some of the shades have more pigment, some have a little bit more of a sheer pigment. The Velvet Muse shade I find is a touch more creamy. You can definitely sheer it out if you want to. I have found that this has kind of a medium weight, so medium to lightweight gloss, not necessarily a really thick, heavy, sticky gloss. It definitely has a little bit more of that oil lip balm, liquid lip balm feel. There's a variety of really pretty shades. I think that the glosses from Lisa Eldridge often get overlooked, maybe potentially because people assume that they're pretty expensive when, I mean, 25 bucks. A lot of Sephora glosses retail for 25. Admittedly, I wish that this shade in particular had even a little bit less pigment. I do wish that this kind of gave me a little bit more of that water droplet effect as far as lip glosses go. And it might just be difficult for me to even review lip gloss as a whole right now because I found my favorite formula, the ones from Fui. So like, if I'm reaching for a gloss, I'm probably reaching for those. It just ends up being kind of like a middle of the road product for me, not the first I would recommend from the brand. Which brings me to, what are the top favorites? Absolutely, probably not a surprise to anyone. The liquid Lurex and the liquid silks from Lisa Eldridge are absolutely incredible. I love these. For me, they are worth it. They just are absolutely excellent as far as the textures go. And honestly, I'm really enjoying the Desert Gleam palette, but I would even say if there are specific colors that you're interested in, maybe skip getting a palette, waiting for those refills to come in stock, and just picking out a couple of shades to see if you like the formula. But granted, 60 bucks for an eyeshadow palette of this quality, I think is wonderful. I think you guys will definitely be seeing me wear this even with just like the velvets and the mattes and not necessarily the shimmers. Because these days I do tend to reach for more wet looking shimmers, and these from Lisa Eldridge aren't necessarily wet looking. They're definitely more metallic in my personal opinion, whereas the liquid shadows are more wet looking. So I'd probably reach for those a little bit more than the metallic or luminous formula within the palettes. And lastly, I hope that they adjust the packaging to the new refillable lipsticks because I love this shade. I love the formula. I'm super happy with it. I just hope that they do some tweaks to make sure that this closes a little bit more tight. So I hope that you guys did enjoy the video. Let me know down below what your favorite products are from Lisa Eldridge. Is there one that I missed? So feel free to leave me a comment down below, and I will leave links to all of the products specifically that I have tried down below, as well as the various retailers that you can get Lisa Eldridge at. I know you can get her at Selfridges, Space NK. There are a couple others, so I will leave links down below. But overall, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in my next one.